You know, sometimes desert terrain can be a bit tricky. Trying to make it work and you just can't get it right, you know? Like you go make this and you're like, So in this tutorial, I'm gonna teach you the secret tips on from turning this into this. Well, let's get into it. Okay. So this first tip doesn't really apply just to desert biomes. You can do this with like, you know, anything. But one of the most important things you can do if you want to make this look really nice is to look at reference images. And you're probably wondering, well, what's that? So a reference image is basically you just go on Google and you search up some images, you know? Like, oh, wow, look at that. Just find some images about a canyon, okay? Something to really like make you like, you know, get your mind going, you know? Like, look how cool this is. Let's try, you know what? Let's try to make this, you know? This was cool. Okay, if you've seen my last tutorial, this next tip is going to be pretty obvious. You want to use the modular rocks. Okay, I already have them ready, but like right here, these little desert modular rocks are really good for making you know, like canyons and other desert features. So I bring them out. As you can see, there's quite a few of them. So I just move them over here. So if you look at a reference image, so if you want to make a canyon, the canyon is like, it's not like a mountain where it's like a slope. It's more of like, it's like a little slope, and then it goes into a vertical, and then it goes really flat, if that makes sense. So to really like resemble that, I'll just use this guy right here, and we'll just bring him out, and like here, I'll just make this. This isn't particularly the most nicest looking cliff, but it'll serve for the example. If you want, you can have your terrain like go up into it, like so there's a little bit of the sand that like, you know, curves up. You really get the shape you want. Bring it up again, and maybe like, you know, make it look different, and then put it back here. So now we kind of have like two layers, and that makes sense. So like it's like goes up flat, goes up flat, if that makes sense. So the next step would be to add that. There's always those little rocks at the very bottom. So let's add those little rocks. And a good prop is this prop right here. This is a very good prop to get rocks. Now, if you didn't know, some textures in Fortnite and UEFN, they have like these they have world-aligned textures, okay? So if I were to rotate, you see where the sand is? If I were to rotate this, the sand will always stay on the top of the rock, if that makes sense. So no matter how much you rotate this, the sand is going to be on the top. So you want to kind of like place them like right here, makes sense? So try to place them like this. It's not a sheer cliff like this. Like this doesn't look good at all, but this looks so much better. So I'll show you what this looks like right now. And here we go. As you can see, it looks miles better, but it doesn't look, you know, there's still some things you can improve about this. So another thing is you should do the exact same thing you've done here up here on this ledge. So we'll do that right now. And boom, there we go. There's the second layer on the second little shelf or whatever. I'm gonna call it a shelf, you know. It kind of looks like a shelf. So you're probably wondering, okay, this looks cool and all, but how do we make it even better? So if you see this, there's some rocks like this that are like really perfect for like cliffs, alright? So I just move this guy over here. If I put him down like this, I can rotate him in like this. Now what this will do, so you can see that how the cliffs are really flat, alright? This will add like more depth and make them look a lot better, if that makes sense. If you have the memory budget to afford this on your island, you know, it's pretty worth it because it just looks like that so much better than just a regular stale cliff. Like, look at that. Look at that. It has like so much more like it looks real, you know? And I'll do that up there. And I remember from my last tutorial, if you watched it, and if you didn't, adding variation to everything is very important. You don't want to just make a canyon that looks like this. If I do this, this looks horrible. What you want to do is rotate things. You want to size them up, stretch them out, you know, like make it all different so it's all looks natural. And boom, would you look at that? This is looking way much better, all right? Looking way better. There's obviously a few things, you know, I made this in like literally 20 seconds. It's you can spend hours on this if you want, make it look perfect. But for now, this will do. This will do. So what else should we do about this? So if we want to make a canyon, all right, like a desert canyon. So if you grab your canyon like this and just grab every single prop that's in it. Now, if you do this, you know, for everything, it's going to make it look, you know, obviously repetitive and boring. All right. So if you remember from earlier, the tip to add variation comes into play very much here after we're done. So I'll show you what to do. Alright, so now I've copied and pasted this cliff, and now I'm kind of in a little enclosed area. It looks kind of cool, doesn't it? But you could probably tell that you look at this one, you're like, oh wow. And you look at this one. Wait, that's the exact same. Oh wait, that's also the exact. They're all the exact same. So how do we add variation? Well, if you remember from earlier, We gotta, you know, twist things around. Boom. Look at this. Oh, wow. It's a lot less, you know, filled with the same things. Obviously, some areas will kind of look the same, but I think there's enough variation here that it looks pretty different, right? I did a few things. I made this bigger. I had some rocks down here, you know, to add to the little variations. You remember our reference image? You know, there's like a bunch of rocks everywhere, so I've added those here. They're not that tall or anything like that, taller in the image, but you know what I mean. There's one big issue that people fall into sometimes, and I see this all the time, is consistency, alright? Consistency. If you're making a desert terrain, if you didn't know, throughout Fortnite's life cycle, there's been about, I don't know, like three desert biomes. Because remember, we got the one from season 5, chapter 1. We got the one from chapter 2, season 5. You got the one from chapter 3, Island. Like where, like, you know, rookie reels and all that. And the result of that is drastically different props for using desert terrain. So if I were to search a desert like this, you see these rocks. I can place them down and they look perfectly fine. But the issue is if I put them beside this rock, you can see that they look kind of different. You know, they're a slightly different color because they're not really designed to be together. That makes sense. So it kind of ruins something sometimes. So if you're using this kind of terrain with the modular rocks, some of these rocks here from, I believe these are from chapter 3. These rocks are like match the you know, the cliffs you're using. They will match up and they'll look nice. So yeah, it's a good idea to use the right rocks for the right terrain. Now another thing is that if you look at this floor, alright, you can probably tell that it's a completely different color to what we have here. And if you want to get the same color, and if you didn't know, this is actually the default, like if you go into like the landscape, if you go into the landscape, there's just a default sand texture that you can just use. It's already pre-made, but it's not going to work with these if you can't tell. So how do we make, you know, a texture that looks like it? Well, open your content drawer, go into your thing, make a new new material maybe. I'd call it desert 2 or desert sand or something. Go inside of it. Now in here, this is our little material graph or whatever it's called. Basically, it's not hard, alright? All you gotta do, I'll actually make this full screen. And then you go to the content down here, go to Fortnite. So look, if you search up sand texture, this sand right here, this is the sand you want. So there's about every single texture has 3 different versions, alright? So you have your base color, your normal, and your specular. So if you're not worried about any of this, don't be afraid, alright? It's not difficult to set this up if you have 0 idea what you're doing. So pretty simple. Maybe just line them up, make them look nice. This is your base color, so add that to base color. And if it wasn't obvious, you put your normal to your normal, and you put your red into specular, you put your green into metallic, and you put your blue into roughness. As you look at this, oh, you can now tell probably that it looks a lot nicer. You can see those little glistening little sand things. Next thing you want to add, right click and search up landscape layer coordinates. And now if you put these into your UVs on your textures, you put one to all 3, you can change the mapping scale. So I'll show you what happens with the mapping scale. So if you see the sand right now, you can see a square grid, right? I'm not crazy. There's a square grid here. Like there's one there, 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 right? You can see that. So how do you fix this? Because this can get kind of annoying. So if you're actually going to be doing this, if you made the landscape while following the tutorial and you made it before you have the material, you might have to replace everything. So if you're changing the texture, and you can do it one by one like this can take a while. So if you have really big landscape, so if you want to mass change it, what you want to do is go to outliner, click instead of on these landscape heroes, you click on landscape 2, go into details, and then go into landscape material, and then do this. And it'll change all of your landscape. If you go into landscape, I'm going to show you if you were to add a new one, how to change the material. You just go into this little tab right here, and you change the material there. With our new sand, as you can tell, it now, you know, matches up. But it's still a bit tiny, you know. See how these rocks are a bit bigger than these rocks? It's because the landscape layer coordinate is the mapping scale is too low. So how do we increase it? So if you were to go back into your material, click on the landscape layer coordinate, mapping scale. If I were to maybe put this up to 2 times, which is like, you know, twice that was big, you can see the difference. Okay, when I say that, you can see the difference. You can't really see the difference, but it's probably a good one would be if I do this 5 times. Like you see, 5 times is a little bit better, a little bit better. It's still a bit too small, but honestly, I think it'll do. So now we have a sand that matches our desert terrain. Okay, so our next step, but it looks a bit barren, you know. I know it's a desert and all, but you know, it never hurts to add a bit more detail. What we want to do next is add some foliage. There's always foliage, all right? Let's switch up a tree, maybe desert, a tree desert. So look at this tree right here. I don't know what we're going there. Another good prop is like the Joshua trees, which are these trees right here. The last thing we need is a cactus. It's gonna use this good old cactus. So you're probably wondering, what do we do next? Well, as you can see, we have a bunch of plants we picked out, and as you can see, we have a giant canyon that needs filling. So fill in the canyon with all your plants. Remember when placing them? Just like the rocks from earlier. Add variation, make it taller, make it wider, you know, make it different. Alright, so I'll be honest, don't bother to place all these cacti, alright? Because but it's just for an example, like, oh wow, look at this cacti. Look at these trees. Oh, they're kind of floating. So our final tip is something that everyone forgets, alright? Everyone. Like I go into a creative map and I look at the thing and I'm like, what the hell is this? You know? Because they forget one simple trick, alright? If you've seen the last video, you know what it is. It's add story, alright? If you don't add story, you lose out on the opportunity to add so much more life to your builds and your maps and everything. So let's add a story to this. Now, so this is desert, okay? So naturally we'll be in a desert. Cowboys, I don't know, bandits, mining, like, you know, for gold, like Minecraft in the Mesa Biome. Can we do something different about it though? Maybe we twist it. How about this is like the desert of the dragon desert. There's a dragon that lives here or something. So let's make this the dragon desert of dragons. So I know there's a one prop. There's actually two actually. This thing right here, it's perfect. A dragon skull. It's a dragon. Perfect. So this is gonna be the den of the dragon. So what we can do is we'll just make a little entrance to maybe like a dungeon. That's pretty scary. It's like a nice little, like, you know, you go over here like, oh, what's over there? It's like a little POI, you know? Let's add some more stuff. Now, if you didn't know, for good game design philosophy, you always want to attract the player to different things. So if you have, let's say, for example, a dungeon in this cliff, and if your players over here, how would they know there's a dungeon in the cliff? Well, as you can probably tell, there's a ginormous dragon head. Let's say if this dragon head wasn't here. How would they tell where it is? You know, like, you know, it's another canyon, you know. So if you add like things like this, you know, and you know, you can figure out where things are, you know, by using environmental storytelling. Okay, so I'm gonna make a little door in here. I like how cool this is. Now look at this. There's a little entrance to maybe like a dungeon in here. I just use these two little like flat, like black, you know, like whatever this is called, like a quarter circle. I don't know, a quarter circle that even exists. So you're probably looking at this, like, oh, that looks cool. Okay, I'm gonna leave the tutorial, but no, stop. You shouldn't leave just yet, okay? Because there's some vital more things you want to add. Alright, this bonus tip, alright? Bonus tip time. You've watched this far, you deserve a bonus tip. Good job, alright? Good job. And that is ambiance. Oh, ambiance. It's in a desert. And we're right beside a dragon's lair, where a dragon resides. So, you know, it's not going to be exactly the most nicest place in the world. So how do we add some scary ambiance? Ooh. Well, I'll show you. So to really set our mood, I think I'm making nighttime. We'll make some nighttime. The good way to do that is to grab something called a day sequence device. Pop it out, as you can see, the little box. If you want to make it so you increase it a zone, you can make it a zone so when you're only inside of this, that's only when you can see like a different, like, you know, time. Want to make it nighttime? It's pretty simple. So what I want to do is you can do it. Fixed times are the best. You want to keep it nighttime. So you go to 0 and boom, and we got a nighttime. Ooh. This looks cool, right? We got some sick lighting now. It's only nighttime, you know. You can always just go in here, you know, you can add a sunlight or not, because, you know, it's nighttime. You can add some fog if you want to add some, like, really, like, scary ambience. Ooh. Probably not that much, like this much. And then, since the desert, we'll make it one, like this color. It's really scary. That will do. So since it's nighttime, we'll add some spooky effects to our thing. So I kind of want this to glow, and I want his eyes to be glowing, maybe his nostrils as well. So how do we make a glowing effect? Well, it's pretty simple. It's actually, you know, way simpler than you probably think. Make another material. I'll just call it glow. Kind of want it to be like a yellow glow or something like that. Maybe an orange. So what we can do is hold the number 3 and click. And what this gives us is a vector 3. If we go into here, we can add a color. So if I want orange, we're going to grab orange. So what we do now is put this into an emissive color. It is now glowing effects. But you're probably wondering, this isn't that glowy. How do we make it more glowy? Well, press 1 at a constant. This is going to be, let's say we'll make it 5 times as glowy. Look at that. We hold M, we click, and we add a multiply node. And what we do is this. Also, actually, this is a new update. I didn't know what it is, but you can just put the number right straight into that. We don't even need this. But as you can tell, this is, you know, if you move this up, it gets more glowy. Move it down, it gets less glowy. It's pretty simple. So if you want the, you know, the sun, you can like you can do that. But I wouldn't recommend it. We'll go with 10. 10's like a number. So with our dragon, what we can do is with this little door, we'll add our little glow effect on these little 2 things. Oh wow, look at that. Now we got some glowing engines. Ooh. And at the eyes, I just added this little sphere by going to this and adding sphere. Don't click on it. Look for the texture right here, or the material. Add your little glow effect. Right, the glowing orb. Ooh. What we can do with this glowing orb is put it in his eyeballs because his eyeballs is glowing. Remember. So you got maybe like, yeah, you know, you can put his pupil glowing. That's kind of boring. I want his entire eye. Oh, that's cool, right? Still with the other eye, and there we go. Now we have like a glowing thing. We'll do it with this now. This is kind of annoying. You gotta get it right, you know. You gotta like twist it like perfectly. So you just gotta adjust with it, resize it so it kind of fills more in, and then like bring it down so it like hides more of the circle. You just get it right. There we go. That's right. And boom! Look at that. Oh, now this is sick. Doesn't this look cool? But we can add so much more to this. Are you ready? Gotta add some ambience. Ooh, ambience. So probably we'll add a radio. This device. This will add some nice music or scary music depending on what you want. But in this case, we'll do some scary music. So in here, now all of these are different music. So click on this. So I've got a little song here. Oh, that song. It's more like a like, you know, it's add a bit of a scary ambience. Ooh, scary ambience. So let's go in game and see how it looks. And here we are in game. Oh, you can hear the music. You saw a nice little environments. Ooh, as you can probably tell, this looks pretty cool. This looks pretty cool, and I made it in like you know, like barely any time. Imagine what we could do with more time, you know. So yeah, that's about it for the tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it. So if you want to, go watch that now, and remember to subscribe. Subscribe as well. So do that right now. Subscribe and then watch that video right now. Okay. I'll see you around.